Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for tuning into this Saturday lunchtime live stream. So, how are you, Marlene?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Lisa.
I don't know if I tagged you ahead of time. You're definitely on my community page.
Okay.
I am Lisa J. Stocks, and I'm here with Marlene Motivates, and we are here for our uh, bi-weekly, as much as possible, weekend live stream, usually Fridays at lunchtime. So make sure to have that notification bell on in order to catch both of us together, whether I'm on Marlene's channel or she's visiting over here. And today's topic, we're going to talk about money lessons. They were important, 20, 30 years ago, but they are even more important now. And a lot of our elders didn't have the knowledge to even pass on to us. And so we're going to talk about those money lessons that we wish we knew, that are definitely evolving uh, and becoming even more important, like I said. So, Marlene, any thoughts about the topic? I know you already told me behind the scenes that you thought it was a good one.
Yeah, I'm just ready to jump in.
Okay. So we grew up hearing work hard, stay out of trouble, get a job. There's so much more that we need to be encouraging our young people to do than that. And there's so much more that we needed to know about money. But like I said, I don't blame my mom for not teaching me certain things because she didn't know. And as we know better, we can do better and then make a different thing, because it's not just about going to work. Work is it earns you money, but we have to know how to make that money grow. So much of us, we see when people pass away or they run into any type of struggles, uh, all they have left is to pass down is debt. And so much money struggles, and they're just in survival mode. And that's what I don't want for us. If that's where you are, I want you to take the steps to get out of it. If you are a parent, I want you to help guide your family members in order to have them on track so that they don't have to have all those struggles and setbacks, and not know how to really manage their money in the best way possible. So those are some of my thoughts around today's topic, and I try to strive through my channel to make everyone feel like investing and finance and all these things are for you. It's for all of us, and I don't want if I'm saying words that make you feel overwhelmed, I try to put it in the most simple terms, because I want you to understand there are easy ways to invest: ETFs, mutual funds, Roth IRA. I don't want these things to be anything to stress you out and be overwhelming. Expense ratios. These are things I want you to understand. They're not difficult, they're not hard once you dig in. And, you know, I try to make things as plain as possible. What do you think about what I'm sharing here so far, Marlene? Do you think that
Um,
do I share things that are overwhelming and
no,
stressful?
no, you don't. You always break things down in very simple terms for everybody to understand. But, honestly, at the end of the day, every single person has to make a decision on where they want to be financially by the decisions that they make as an adult. Yes, a lot of times we were not taught things because, like you mentioned, our parents or your guardian caregiver didn't have that knowledge, so they couldn't pass it on to you. But now, as an adult, you need to be doing some gaining knowledge and all of that, which I know we're going to be talking about more in this discussion.
Okay, so first things first, I want to talk about setting the foundation. I've heard so many people share that they have to sell an investment before it's time, or tap into their retirement account. and disrupts that power of compound interest that was working for them, that was on track to benefit them long term because of other things. So I'm going to keep on stressing it. I know my channel is Lisa J Stocks, but savings is very important. We have to know where our emergency fund is at. So have you had any unexpected expenses sneak up on you lately, Marlene?
Yes, Lisa, my fridge went out about,
Okay.
I would say 13 days ago.
Mhm.
And it was very irritating because, you got to take everything out, you got to be cleaning it up, and then the panic, like, okay, now where am I going to go get another fridge and all of that? How much is this going to cost me? I was able to do that because I do have an emergency fund in place. I don't know if I said it on another stream, but right now I have 10 to 11 months of an emergency. I had a year, but because I had to buy a fridge, now I've knocked off about a month, a little over a month worth of my emergency fund,
Okay.
because of the fridge. But I'm glad that I had it and I didn't go into panic mode and trying to borrow and doing things, going into accounts and getting penalties. So I'm glad that I had it. So I turned a little, inconvenience into something that was tolerable.
Yeah, yeah. I know how that goes. So my last kind of unexpected expense that I knew that something was wrong with the car. I had to take it in. I didn't know how much it was going to come out to. It was over $700, my last repairs. And so, yeah, it seems like my cost was a little bit less than yours. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we have to be ready for it, and we have to think, and we have to. It's better to be a little bit over prepared than to not have enough and then have to have some things lingering as far as carrying a balance on your credit card. So um, that's why you should have know what your debt is looking like. Hopefully, be striving to get rid of it if you are carrying any. Have that emergency fund so that when you do use your credit card, you can then go ahead and pay that off in full as quickly as possible. Sometimes that emergency might be right before the due date. So I'm always making sure that I can have that transition of getting my payment to my credit card um, as quickly as possible. And then, once those things are straight and on track, then you can prioritize your investing. And like what happened with Marlene and I with our unexpected, kind of substantial expenses that we now have we have to face. And now we can take the opportunity to little by little build back up our emergency funds, our savings account, so that when the next thing comes around, which something else will come around, we will be ready to do it, to take care of it in the same way. So let's take a quick second to acknowledge the chat. I see Tasharia's here, Daryl. I think I saw uh, Nemo and a few others. Thank you guys for tuning in and chatting. Feel free to drop any comments or questions that you have concerning this topic. But today we're just talking about how income alone is not wealth, that we have to be on track to build true wealth. And lots of these things that we're talking about today may be things that our family and our school system and our surroundings were not able to instill in us early on, but we're still doing it today. And as we learn, we're gonna share the journey and be here, and hopefully you can take something from what we're sharing. So Daryl says that we're his financial heroes.
Aw.
So, all right. So, yes, set that foundation, have that emergency fund. Next, let's talk about investing. Some of those terms that I was talking about at the beginning of the show. And for me, my top priority, and I think my first priority, is investing for retirement, a tax advantage account for retirement. And I've been laid off multiple times along the way. And so that alone led me to having different accounts at different brokerage companies. I was defaulted into a certain fund, and I had to go back and find out, what the performance was, make moves. I decided to make a move to move all of my accounts over to Fidelity. So Marlene, along your journey along all these years that you've been working, have you either been laid off or changed jobs and had multiple accounts in different brokerage companies like me?
Yes, I
Yeah.
I have I've been laid off twice, and one time is because the company what do you call it, downsized,
Hmm.
and another time because they ended my position. So it was, and both times I was not expecting it. You know how like you feel like you're in a comfortable space, things are going well, and then it's like they call you in the office at 5 p.m. I don't know why they always do that. They wait till the end of your shift, call you in the office, and you're like, what? And you're thinking, what did I do? What did I do wrong? And yeah, today's your last day, and you're like, what? So I'm grateful that I've always, at least, I didn't have as much as I have now, but I always had at least a 30 days worth of emergency fund to be able to save my neck. But that was not enough, because like I do,
Yeah, it
it
can.
takes months
It
and months
depends.
to
It
find
depends.
something else.
Yeah, it depends. I've had a situation where, after a few months of not being able to find my next opportunity, I took a contract role, and I was working that contract role for almost a solid year, like so
Mhm.
close to a year. I mean, like 49 or 50 weeks. So yeah, you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready to bridge that gap. And depending on what industry you are in, I think it's harder than ever right now, but that's something else we're going to be talking about a little bit later on. You have to really be ready to um, supplement your income and not be dependent 100% on unemployment, because
Mhm.
that is nothing substantial. And in my case, I can't even get full unemployment when I was in that situation because I had other streams of income, and so I got a partial unemployment. So yeah, you have to have your eyes open to these different things and um, be ready for it. But really, the topic that I'm trying to talk about here is focusing on a tax advantage account above anything else, because there's only so much time that we can be out here going to work day to day. Uh, we're going to age. We're just, that's just a natural part of life. But we never know if our health could decline due to having to have a surgery, run into a medical issue that causes us to potentially have to retire, go on disability, or something sooner than we expected. So we have to be ready for that and do the work early on. I went live with Anthony from About That Wallet recently, and I was touching on how I didn't have the money mindset in my 20s to work hard if you want to potentially be retired at 45, 50, 55. I didn't have it in mind to strive to make sure that I was working harder earlier on to potentially not have to be working so hard later on in life. So just floating along, thinking, this is the way things are. You just work until you can't work anymore, or you're in your late 60s or whatever it is. But yes, we can do things differently. And, if you are more in a more mature stage of life, all we can do is go forward and just move from here. But with focusing on your 401k or your Roth IRA, 403b, TSP, whatever it is for you, yeah, I think that should be the top priority. And know that you are in a solid place there before you're doing trading, you're doing, even investing for your kids, investing in a taxable brokerage account. We need to make sure that retirement account is on track, in my opinion. That's where I think is the first focus. So, anything else you want to share on this topic about understanding the priority? Do you agree with me that that should be your first priority?
Now, you know how I feel about making sure that your portfolio is on track. And like you mentioned, when I would say my teens to my early 20s, it
Hmm.
was all about fun, and I thought investing in all of those things, that's for rich people. I never thought it was something that it was feasible for me. It was something even possible. I was like, I always thought that I had to have a certain amount of money to invest. And since I have been coming around your channel, that's helped me to shift things. That you don't have to get to a certain amount. You start where you are, and then you pad, and you learn and you grow and pivot. That's what it's all about.
Yes, yes. A lot of these brokerage companies, I know the ones that I use, there's no limitations as far as, you have to put $2,500 into this particular mutual fund and you have to have this much to get started. I've had a good experience with Fidelity, and yeah, there's been barely any barrier to things that I wanted to do over there. So make sure that you're finding the right broker. And I can invest as little as $1 over there. I've done it before with my daughter's accounts. We've invested $1, $2.50 even, very small amounts. But obviously, I share that because I don't want you to feel like you have to wait. But Fidelity encourage you to invest 15% of your income, and that includes any percentage that you're getting from your employer. And if that amount sounds like, overwhelming, you start from where you're at, and as you can, you strive to increase that by 1%, 2% until you're able to build up to whatever the maximum amount that you can contribute. But never ignore the power of investing. Do not, take advantage of that company match. Even if you're not thrilled with the brokerage company that your company is using, comb through all of the investment choices. And I would say, even if it's just up into that match amount that you're contributing and using the account, and then from there going and doing your own Roth IRA, take advantage of it. It's free money, and don't leave it on the table. Um, so, and don't make investing complicated, and make sure you just gain a little bit of knowledge, because I want you to get out there with some standards for yourself so that you can truly advocate for yourself. And so I when I realized what my standards were, and I set that bar for myself, I had to leave one of my brokerage companies, which was Empowerment. I had to just leave completely and get my money over to Fidelity and start fresh, because I could see that they just were not able to get me in line with what I wanted as far as the growth of my portfolio, those low fees, the things that I was looking for. So, all right, next, let's talk about pretty much our money mindset. And it's about home ownership. And Marlene has shared in the past that she has achieved something that I think is so impressive. Her and many of her siblings have paid off their mortgage completely. And so I just wanted to touch on this because I don't want people to think that that is a great thing to achieve, but just because your house is paid off, you still need to make sure that you're building a substantial amount into investments, because we have to be able to pay the bills. Just having a paid off house, we still, in my state at least, I don't know the circumstances where you are in Florida, you are going to have homeowners insurance, you're going to have taxes, you're going to have maintenance. You're not going to be out there power washing and mowing the lawn. For me, I have a lot of snow. So all of those things, we have to be ready to pay for those things, as well as the basic necessities of keeping up with our vehicle, our health costs, our just overall living expenses, our utilities and things like that. So it's great to have a paid off home, but there's so much more that needs to be done, unless you plan on selling that home at some point and then using that money for all the other things that I mentioned. And if you're not, you want to remain in that home, make sure that you have your head around that home ownership is a wonderful thing. I'm going to strive for being mortgage free, but it's not the end of the road. There's so much more that needs to be done. So, Marlene, can you share on this topic?
Sure. One of the things that, like you mentioned about, your mortgage, it's something that's like looming over your head all the time, like thinking, I got to make my mortgage payment, I got to do this payment and this payment and this payment. It just checks one thing off of your list. Now you need to go into other things. So what I did when I no longer have, now that I no longer have that mortgage payment, I'm taking that amount that I was spending for the mortgage, because if you can afford the mortgage, now you can take that money and put it into different baskets. And that's what I've been doing. I still save the same amount that I was putting into my mortgage, but I put it into different baskets now. So that was something that I wasn't doing. You kind of get like, oh, I'm good now, so I can relax. No, it's not time to relax. It's time to start padding other accounts, making sure that your investments are doing well. Make sure that you have for your emergency fund and etc. For your long-term care. You have to think about all of those things, because we never know what will happen next in our lives, happen to us, or something that we're responsible for the care of. Maybe it's your aging parents or your kids or your spouse. You have to think about all those things. If something happened tomorrow, what will happen to me and my family?
Hmm. Yeah, that was a great point. Don't just take a permanent break just because you get something paid off and then all of that money that was allocated towards expenses is now being blown. Like you finish paying off this car, you can still be allocating, an amount for car repairs, for potentially the next car payment. Yeah, be forward thinking and planning for what we know is going to happen, which is going to be something. Sometimes some more bills are going to be coming your way. Yeah, my car, it's not going to last me forever. So, yeah, I have to be ready for that. But that was a great point that you were making about, even if you are working on paying down debt, as you get a particular card paid off, make sure that that same amount that you were able to scrounge together to pay off that one. Now, if all the debt is gone, make sure that you're designating it to the next place, the next in line of your priorities, and you keep on building in that way. So, yes, these are some things that I want us to always be thinking about when it comes to our personal finances. So, thank you, Farrah Brooks, and everyone who has tuned in since we last took our station break. I am Lisa J. Stocks here with Marlene Motivates. Make sure to check out both of our channels. If you have not already, give this live a thumbs up. Make sure to leave a comment. Do all the things, like, subscribe, comment, hype up our videos, and have that notification bell on so that you can keep up with all of our videos and live streams. So, we've been talking about step by step, things that you need to incorporate to make sure that you are truly on track to build wealth. And yes, you earn that money, but it's not just about earning the money. You then have to put it to work. And even if you have multiple jobs, multiple streams of income, I don't want you to just be focused on work, work, work. Make sure that you are investing into whatever suits you. I definitely think that The stock market is something readily accessible to all of us. But Marlene and I, we both have some real estate investments in addition to what we were chatting about here with our investment, our stock market investment portfolios. But whatever it is, make sure that you're bringing assets, using that income to create assets that are going to pay you back and help you to be on track to make your money continue to grow, not just earning, and spending. Because that's a cycle that we can't keep up with forever. Like I said, I want us to be retirement ready, not just in that cycle of work and spends and paycheck to paycheck, or close to it, in debt. All these things are not the way to create the lifestyle that most likely we're striving for, to get to a point where we don't have to go to work, but we're comfortable between what we've created with our own investments, as far as our, what we're able to draw from with our investment portfolio, whether it's real estate, whether it's the stock market, and those, potentially any Social Security, pensions that you may have, depending on what type of job that you've had over the years. But yeah, I've looked up my Social Security amount. It's nothing that substantial. So yeah, I know that I need to be ready to rely heavily on other investments that I'm striving to build right now. So let me know in the chat, what things that we've touched on so far do you need to put the work into? Is it building an emergency fund? Is it auditing your budget in order to see if there's any money leaks? Is it something like what Marlene mentioned, that you've paid off something, but now you're realizing that you haven't been maximizing that money that got freed up in order to be on tracks for some of your other goals? Marlene has done a great job, as she shared. She expanded her emergency fund to a full year. Reflecting back on the things that you've run into. I shared my $700 car repair. Marlene shared that she had to replace a major appliance. So yeah, those things those expenses that are kind of sneaking up on us, that are eating away at our emergency fund, is it making you evaluate and realize that you need to expand it, increase it, or is it the right fit for you right now, and you're able to, deal with whatever comes along? So, one time of something sneaking up on you and being really unexpected, and you not being quite as prepared as you thought you were, is that's one thing. But if it keeps on happening, then that shows you that you need to be doing better. So, Marlene, anything you want to chime in with here?
Yeah, one of those things I remember when I was younger, my parents were from, what is it called? They were the silent generation. Yeah, before the baby boomers. Yeah.
Mhm.
And my mom used to always say, you have to save, because when you need some money, who are you going to get it from? And that used to be laughable to me when I was younger, because I was like, save what? There's nothing. If something is important to you, you will find a way. $5, $10, it does add up eventually. But one thing that is important is that we have to understand that we have to save ourselves. You have to rescue your own self. You have to forgive yourself, because that is a thing. You got to stop beating up yourself for bad investments or what you didn't do. You have to forgive yourself, let that go, and then put some new things in front of you. This is what I'm actively participating in doing, and I'm proud of myself. And then you just do a reevaluation, and you just keep moving forward. That's what's important when it comes to your financial security and prosperity, is reevaluating and not staying in the same position and being stuck and comparing yourself to somebody else. You have to know what is the best for you, and then move forward.
Mhm. Mhm. So, yes, there are so many elements, so many things to think about. And I hope we're giving you some food for thought so that you might find those places of weakness when it comes to what's going on in your personal finances. So, another thing I wanted to touch on is automation. It is 2026. So many things are so easy for us, whether it comes to saving or investing. Um, Mitigating your risk if you're scared when it comes to investing. There are so many elements that are built in that can help you. But even just making sure once you figure out what is the right amount that you were able to allocate towards saving and investing, automate it so it's out of your hands so that you're treating it seriously, a real bill, a real expense. Don't just prioritize I have to pay my cell phone bill or my electricity bill. Uh, Investing and savings, make it a priority. Don't slack off with it. Don't let it fall by the wayside over and over. And that's the only thing that always seems to be able to be taken off of the list. So, and as your income rises, make sure that you're increasing your investing. You're building into your emergency fund, not just using all of that money for extras, for fun. Do something responsible. I was listening to Daryl's live this morning, and he was mentioning how he's had a fire at one of his properties. I know a friend of the family was just sharing with me that they have a relative that was in a car accident and they just had a minimum amount of insurance. And so they're not going to get anything for a total loss on their vehicle because of the level of insurance that they had. So I know that these are boring things, but you have to be protected because accidents happen, fires happen, people getting injured, all these things, we have to be ready for it. So make sure that you're keeping up with your insurance coverage. Know who your beneficiaries are on your documentation. Have your estate planning on point. So many things. But as make yourself a list and work on it little by little to know so that you're able to at someday soon down the road know that you have all of these things taken care of and then work on passing down the knowledge. But there are things that are a huge priority that need to always be taken care of so that as you want to move forward with life, you're not going to be hindered by a lack of anything that in your financial foundation that you could have put the work into take care of. So do you have any stories or insights you want to share on what I just talked about there, Marlene?
Yeah, one of those things, Lisa, that I hate to go back to this, but I just have to. When I just wish that people were who are in the space of they're young, early 20s, early 30s, like you really pay attention to what me and Lisa are talking about because don't take it lightly. Especially if you have a situation to where you have someone helping you or assisting you so you can put more into accounts. You don't have the full responsibility of bills. Take advantage of whatever it is that you have in your hands and do more investing, do more savings, keep your debt down, pay your debt off, do all of the things. So when you get to be older, you won't have, you already have those things in place. Like I know when I first started, I didn't start my investing until I was older. So I had to do a lot of catch up work, and I'm still doing catch up work because I don't think anybody's ever where they're never satisfied where they are. But I just want to encourage everybody who's listening to don't take a backseat approach. Get in the driver's seat of your life and make things happen. Take care of one thing at a time so that you don't overwhelm yourself. You don't have to do huge, big, great things, but small steps, small things, and then believe how far you will come financially.
Mhm, mhm. And don't wait around for everything to be perfect. When I get a job that has a 401k built in for me, don't wait for that. Open up your own Roth IRA. It's too much of a hassle to open a high yield savings account. I'll just stick with the Bank of America or the Chase down the road, or I'll just go to the check cashing place. I don't know. Don't think that you're helping yourself by putting off certain things that should be a priority, that are really going to help you. And don't feel like any amount that you're putting into your investment account or savings account is too small, like it's not worth it because I don't have that much yet. I will proudly put aside, invest, save any amount that I have. It doesn't have to be 100,000. It doesn't have to be at those type of levels before I'm going to take advantage of the things that I have set up for myself at this point. And if I didn't have them set up, I and you didn't know, you can do it. You can do it with a small amount. Don't think some I have to get to the point where I have a few $1,000s in order to get started with certain things. Get started today. I'm telling you, if you get in contact with a bank or a brokerage company, and they're telling you, oh no, there's another one out there that does not have the limitations. I assure you, I've been investing. I don't have to have a direct deposit. I don't have I don't when that comes that relates to savings. I'm sorry. My savings account, I didn't have to link it to a direct deposit in order to get a pretty good rate. With my investing account, I can, deposit, have a recurring deposit going in, from my local bank or from my high yield savings account, or just let it sit there because the interest rates there are pretty substantial too. So you can have cash there, make sure that you're adding on a regular basis, and you can automate your investments. Once that money hits, you can already have it set that you're going to be buying $25, $50, whatever it is you're designating into those chosen investments at your account. So you can really make things simple. It's just a matter of getting it structured, getting it together. Don't let things be confusing and overwhelming, or fear hold you back. Make sure that you're sharing your questions, and making sure that you are maximizing your money. Like I said, I don't want us just to be working to be paycheck to paycheck and not building anything. So, all right. So I have a few news articles that I've pulled that I wanted to touch on. But really, since the beginning of the show, I've just been chatting here, Marlene and I, about just different things that we wish we knew sooner, that, our parents instilled in us: work hard, go to school, have savings, but you need to dig deeper and push harder into what all this means and what the right fit is when it comes to what you're building for yourself. I think I can't remember Dave Ramsey. He the one that says you should have the $1,000 emergency fund. $1,000 emergency fund would have done nothing for either one of us with the issues that we've run into recently. So I mean, it's a start. I always encourage people. I'm not saying that $1,000 is nothing. If you're at zero, get to $1,000. If you don't have one paycheck put aside, get to one paycheck. Set those goals for yourself, but make sure to keep on going, because we know what it is just to go to the grocery store, just to have to bridge a gap if there is any interruption with our employment. So many things that come up. So All right. So one of the articles that I was taking a look at is that hey, Fast Eddie, and hello to everyone who has come in since the last time we took a quick station break. I'm Lisa J. Stocks here with Marlene Motivates. Make sure to give the live a thumbs up and put on your notification bell for both of our channels. So, the job market. So I was reading an article about the job market, and things are so hard nowadays. There's been so much layoffs, there's been so much elimination of roles due to AI and technology. But with this, it was saying that um, having a job isn't enough anymore. A recent analysis found that 25% of workers are functionally unemployed. So there's a clarification that needs to be said, because when you're watching the news and you're hearing the reports of these numbers when it comes to unemployment, it's not just about people that don't have a job. There are people that are stuck involuntarily working just a part time job, people that are earning below the wages that they need to live comfortably. So once you factor in those type of things that we can't see just from that number of saying how many people are unemployed, how many people are currently collecting unemployment, then we start to think about the bigger picture of what is really going on in America right now. So those official, the unofficial numbers are more substantial than those official numbers that we're seeing online, is basically the message that I got from reading this article. And I know from my own personal experience, and I've been there before, where I was working even full time at one point, but I put myself in that category of underemployed. I was working in a role that was not as much as the role that I had prior, just to get through until I was able to find a better opportunity. So glad for the job, glad for the earnings that were coming in, but I was in that place of feeling underemployed. So, Marlene, what was your thoughts? Because I think this is the first topic of the day that I had actually shared with you on Instagram.
I when you were talking about this, when you sent that article, I was thinking about all the people who've had to have the jobs that didn't exist probably about 15 years ago. The Uber Eats and the DoorDash and all of those this type of roles. And some people now, that is their employment. And um like thinking, because of the job closed to end due to whatever reason. So it makes me think, how are people surviving? How are people making it through on, the I call it pennies. These penny jobs, when they have real bills and responsibilities with their families, but all everybody can do is just do the best that they can, and in the meantime continue to look for something better. But even if it's just a little bit, like we talked about before, do a little bit of investing, a little bit of savings until you can get where you need to get. But it was eye opening for me to think about the people who were, partially unemployed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, yes. So, yeah, just something to think about, something that I found interesting. And another article, and this is something I've been seeing a lot, like through reels and shorts on social media, is the impact of shrinkflation. Have you noticed anything in your own? Can you name any products or things that are frustrating you that you see are smaller, are shrinking on you when you go to the market, Marlene?
Mhm. I noticed that a lot of the things that you use, like, I know you shouldn't eat it, but the things that we love, the snack cakes and the even the pre-washed salads and stuff, the containers are smaller, the chips, everything, you're getting less, but you're paying more.
Yeah, and some of those things they're sneaking it in there because you may not have an older package, but some things are very clear, and it's frustrating to me because especially if it's something like cheese or cream cheese, something that you're going to use in a certain recipe. I don't need you taking 2 or 3 ounces out of it. That just means I would rather them just keep the same price on certain items that were packaged in a way that was ideal for, what you may have to do as far as preparing a meal, as opposed to taking off a few ounces here and there. It's with certain types of food, I find it to be more disruptive than just eliminating two cupcakes or 2 coffee pods out of my packaging. But however, they're going about doing it. The bottom line is we're paying more for less because we're still paying the higher price and they're putting less. They're increasing the price and putting less in the packaging. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And
And,
also, oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
And also the quality is less. I don't know if you've noticed that as well. It's the thing. Some things that you get, it was thicker or heavier, or the flavor was stronger, so they're using less of the ingredients, and putting it in a smaller package, and you're paying more, and you're like, what is going on? It was like it used to be like this, and now it's like this. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't do
So,
anything about it.
however you look at it, our money is buying less. And so, this is why we have to make sure do as much as we can to, like I said, even if you don't feel like, oh, I don't have much to put into the high yield savings account, make every step that you can to make your money be on track to grow. Invest as much as possible, cut your expenses as much as possible. They're really seeing the impact. I'm seeing, uh, Walmart stock dropped the other day, and they're saying their per ticket, per purchase amount that people come in and spend is decreasing. And that is a store that is, the most basic store that's supposed to be an affordable place for people to go. And even there, they're not just buying whatever, they're focusing on their needs because they have to, because everything is so expensive. And we've seen, like you were mentioning, snacks, chips, different things. Soda's been eliminated off of some of these food plans that benefits that people are able to get through aid. So with that, the prices were already up, and so yeah, things these retailers they're never going to eat the cost. They have to pass it on to us. So the supplier, they're raising the prices, they're shrinking our sizes, and it's all being passed down to us. So inflation is one thing, shrinkflation is another. We're Have your eyes open to it because we have to be ready to battle against it. um, so yeah, it's really frustrating,
Yeah.
but this is just going to lead to people maybe having to eliminate some things completely out of their diet, out of their budget, switching the store brands. Do what you can, compare prices. Yeah, I try to do my best to do all of those things in order to stretch my budget. I know my last shopping trip, um, and it wasn't a complete shopping trip because I still need a few things. $330 I spent, and I went to the super Walmart and I spent that much. But I still have other things that I need to get. So yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. But at least I'm stressing to my household to let's make sure to use every last bit of everything. Let's not have a minimum amount of food waste. Going back to being responsible. If you're not going to finish it, freeze it. If you're going to come back to it, if you think it could potentially spoil, yes, I send those type of encouragement to my family. I make sure to divide out certain things that can be frozen ahead of time, and you have to be responsible and make sure you're taking it out, defrosting it, getting ready to cook. Yes, I do that. I'm not going to the butcher shop every day or going to the supermarket frequently. I like to keep my house stocked. But just some things that I was thinking about. Real talk, as always, when I'm here with Marlene, just a regular conversation about finances that I think we should be on top of. And what else do we have to talk about today, Marlene? Anything on your mind about homes, about money, about increasing prices everywhere?
Yeah, I was honestly thinking about, the younger generation, that like what are they going to do? Think about those who are just starting off and they don't have a home. They're going to be renting for the most part. How are they going to be able to survive? And with everything that's going on. So I was just thinking about that, talking with my nieces and cousins and a few other people that I'm close to. And they're just, many of them probably will never, they said, I'm never leaving my parents' home. And I was just like, this isn't good because they said that they can't survive out there on the
Yeah.
income that they're getting. So there's more people who are staying at home. Not that it's a bad thing, because if it's going to support the whole family, but the generations now are changing because they're not able to be on their feet at the same age that we were, because they have a different circumstance that nobody would have seen because of this economy.
Yeah. Yeah, totally different. I don't know. It's so much more common nowadays to be even above 30 years old and still living with family members because of this economy. Whereas I was a mom at 19 with an apartment, a car,
Mhm.
uh, and working full time. So that was not ideal. I do not want to see anyone follow in my footsteps with that. But yeah, I was able to get by. And in addition to that, I was trying to go to school nights and weekends. But yeah, really hard. But there's no more renting a room, an apartment, a studio, a two-bedroom for a few $100s a month. Everything is very substantial, and so we have to be ready for that. And these young people, they're doing it because they have to, not because they want to, and that is a sad reality that we're currently facing. Um, but yeah, those are mainly the topics that I wanted to cover today. If anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them. But um, we didn't learn what to do with our income, but I'm really trying to encourage you to make sure you're maximizing it and thinking about wealth in a different way. I like how Marlene was sharing about how, you know, earlier in life she didn't think that investing and building wealth and that was something for us. But I love being here with I love being someone that I hope can inspire others, a different face in this space, just sharing my journey and letting you know that, yeah, I can do it. I'm doing it and you can too. It's not complicated. And I just want us to keep on learning and growing and uh, eventually pass on the knowledge as we feel more confident and are really on track to get things accomplished. So fast Eddie is sharing, I had a roommate and work two jobs about 70 hours a week. A lot of people nowadays are scared to do that. Listen, a lot of people, if you can find that much work to do, that's a huge, amount. That's two full-time jobs basically. So yeah, you got to do what you have to do So if they're able to find that, then maybe they won't have to live with mom or grandpa or whoever. But yeah, thinking about that gig work that you were touching on, sometimes I sometimes I watch like those YouTube shorts or something, or TikTok reels where they're giving just a short breakdown of as they go and they pick up the different jobs. And it's a small amount of money, and they have to drive a couple of miles in order to do it. So, yeah, I wonder how much they have to stay out there for a lot of hours and get some good orders in order to make some money. It's tough. It's tough when that is a way that you're supplementing or potentially earning all of your money at some point. So Daryl sharing that his mom was 19 years old with 3 kids. Yeah, I left the kid having kids alone for a long time after that first one because, yeah, I didn't want to be on track for that personally. I saw how hard it was. And actually, my best friend, and from high school, she had 3 kids by the time we were 20. And so, yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. Um, but let me see if there's any other questions. Thank you guys again for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you missed the beginning of it, catch the replay. I do try to go back and spruce up my live streams, add in some chapters so that you can know the different topics that we touched on today.
Um, Daryl was asking he needs help with how do you do an emergency fund, and I was putting
Okay.
some of my thoughts in there.
Okay. Okay. So, Daryl, are you driving the car? So, Marlene was sharing that. Do you want to just tell him what you were saying?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
With the emergency fund, I started from zero. I didn't have anything. I started off first by rounding up every time I went to the grocery store or whatever store. I had an account that every time whatever the change, it it always went into a savings account. It rounded up to the next dollar. And you would be surprised how very quickly, in no time, I had $500 in my emergency fund just by rounding up. And then the next thing that I did is I cut off all of the extras that I didn't need. The drink, having the coffees, hot chocolate, the tea, all those extra things, getting a bottle of water, soda, whatever it is, those things, I eliminated that. And instead of putting $7, $8 into the coffee or whatever, I took that $7. Any little extra money that I had, I was putting it into that emergency fund until it was able to give me a one month of emergency fund. And then I just did that. I just saw where I could cut, and I just threw everything I could, a quarter here, a dollar there, $20, 50, anything that I could. I was throwing it into my emergency fund anytime that I could. That's how I started it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I love that. You're talking about not even a full dollar, but it builds up, and so it all adds up. So guys, don't be discouraged. Whatever amount you have, work from there and then just keep on going. And even if the amounts that you're able to save or invest are not increasing, the consistency means a lot too, of just sticking with it. Even small amounts in time can become something substantial. I've seen it in my own portfolio and the ways that I've built even when I did not increase uh, what I was contributing. So, all right. So, guys, you guys have a great rest of your weekend or start to your weekend if you have to get back to work. I know this is our lunchtime live, but it's almost here. The weekend is almost here. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope the kids are off to a great start with school. I hope the traffic is not crazy where you are. I know I'm definitely seeing the difference in my area. And make sure to, like I said, have that notification bell on so that you can catch both of our videos and live streams when we collaborate together. It will probably be the week after next Friday over on Marlene's channel. But if we're not able to keep to the exact schedule, have that notification bell on so that you can always keep up with us. We appreciate you tuning in as always. And Marlene, do you want to close us out for today?
Yeah, sure. I just want to encourage everybody to start where you're at. You know, don't worry about the past or what you didn't know. Gain the knowledge. Be patient with yourself. Learn, ask questions. Put yourself in rooms where people are smarter than you are. Gain that knowledge and then apply it to your life.
Agreed, agreed. Thanks. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Stock it up, stock it up.